This will be my full spoiler review for the Black Widow movie that is coming out next week. Thank you to Disney and Marvel for allowing me access to this movie early so I can watch it a few times before I give it an honest review, because let's be honest guys, there's a lot of people out there who had access to this movie early that aren't exactly being honest. When you dub this movie as the greatest Marvel movie ever, the best Marvel movie yet, you're just being dishonest for views, traffic, or whatever. You know guys, I'm raw, I'm savage, I'm honest. So, yo, what is good YouTube? Warstu here with a video on the Black Widow movie. This movie should have came out over 2 years ago. This is the first movie to hit the cinemas since Spider-Man Far From Home in 2019. So if you are new around here, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the pop culture based content on this channel. We do daily content, Marvel, DC, Kaiju, Monsterverse, and everything Marvel, DC, pop culture based, even video games sometimes. So check us out on Instagram at Warstu if you want to see the face behind the voice. Also check us out on Twitter, WarstuG, aka Warstu. So firstly, we're going to get into non-spoilers for this movie. So this movie is shot very well. The cinematography of this movie, it's wonderful. It's a visual masterpiece. Although in some parts of the movie, take for instance, the CGI on Taskmaster isn't the best, this movie does look visually stunning and it is a great movie. From a visual standpoint, it's very, I would say it's great. Now, let's get into non-spoilers first. So, this movie, for me, it's grounded. It feels like an MCU movie from the get-go, but it's more of a Phase 1, Iron Man, Thor 1, Captain America 1 style movie. This movie should have came out before Infinity War. Now, as we know, this movie is essentially the ramifications of Natasha in her quest between Civil War and Infinity War, but this movie should have came out post Civil War. This movie, it fell short a lot of times because Natasha was never actually under any threat, because we've all seen the Hawkeye scene in the Avengers movie. So realistically, there was no threat ever. Every time she was fighting Taskmaster, you never felt she was going to be killed, because we've all seen where she gets killed, sacrificing herself essentially. So that is one of the biggest pitfalls of this movie. Now, I don't care what Kevin Feige says. We're going to do lots of prequels. Please don't. Please don't. Or if you're going to do a prequel, have it come out at the right time. Now, I guess people could go because of the No, this has nothing to do with the pandemic. This movie should have came out before Infinity War, so then you would have felt everything. You would have felt the movie so much more. It was empty, emotionless. Now, don't get me wrong, there are great performances in this movie. David Harbour, great character, cool character. Yelena Belov, played by Florence Pugh, she is amazing. But Scarlett Johansson, I feel really bad for her, because this movie wasn't about her. It was about essentially the next Black Widow. Let's go spoilers. It was about Yelena Belov essentially becoming the next Black Widow and setting up the future. That's realistically what happens in this movie. Realistically, that's what happens. Natasha was a side character. What happened in Budapest? You're saying no. They kept saying Budapest. Obviously, it's Budapest. We all wanted to know what happened in Budapest. Well, now we know what happened in Budapest. And let's be honest, it's not actually what Natasha thought. So basically, the Red Room. She was part of the Red Room. She was the best assassin ever. So Natasha thought that she killed off Ray Winstone's character, Dreykov. I'm probably going to get butchered for saying that. But no, she actually didn't kill him off. And he's been secretly running the Red Room from a carrier craft in the sky for multiple years. So the big twist, let's talk about the big twist. Were the leaks and rumors true? Was Taskmaster played by OT as Mason? No. Taskmaster was actually Dreykov's daughter. The twist was really bad. The twist was shocking, to be honest. The twist was so bad. It really was. It didn't feel like there was any emotional twist. Now, if it was Mason, they kind of knew each other. So it was emotionless. It was a big letdown. But all these leaks that are always right. Taskmaster, I wanted it to be Mason. At least then it would make some sort of point. This movie realistically wasn't needed. They should have went into realistically what happened in Budapest in a lot more depth. Yes, we know we've got other characters like Alexei, aka the Russian Captain America, and realistically that was a bit of a fraudulent fakeness, if that makes any sense. Why? Because he was in a prison that he could have broken out of any time he wanted to, because he can literally jump crazily high. And there were scenes that would have have done much better. It would have been executed. The performances would have been much better had they not put in a corny joke. That's the problem I have with Marvel movies, is sometimes when a serious scene comes up, they put a cringe joke in, they put a joke in to mask what really is needed. So I don't get this kind of Marvel forte where they've got to put a joke in where you could have a whole scene essentially sell itself by making the scene deeper and not just adding in a cringy joke or a joke. Don't get me wrong, this movie overall was decent, but there wasn't much storyline. The storyline is this in a nutshell. There's some kind of formula that can stop all the Black Widows being Black Widows, an antidote that makes them realize who they really are, because Dreykov is essentially controlling all the Black Widows to control the whole world from a little computer that Natasha essentially takes over and destroys Draco. Essentially, that's pretty much the movie in a nutshell. Although, yeah, technically it was Yelena that destroyed Dreykov in the end. But it was just a setup movie for Yelena to become the next Black Widow. And that was pretty much it. I was very disappointed by this movie. And as I said at the start, I feel like a lot of people are overhyping this movie because it's Marvel's best movie. No, it's not Marvel's best movie ever. I feel like they're overhyping it, overselling it. Why? Because it's the first movie Marvel's released in 2 years. And don't get me wrong, I think you should go watch this in the cinema. It's a good movie. It just was released too late. This should have came out after Civil War, before Infinity War, before Endgame, because there is no emotion, no empathy there, because realistically, nothing needed to be told in this. We could have heard in a little scene in any movie what happened in Budapest, realistically. And that was it. There was no need for any of it, really. It's just to introduce a new phase of the next Black Widow, Alana, and then there's a post-credit scene, which is absolutely freaking fire. And to be fair, the post-credit scene was decent. But then again, the post-credit scene is massively overhyped as well. So what do we get? We get Yelena, boiled off, future day, present day, where it doesn't actually explain when it is, go into a grave for Natasha. Interesting, because obviously she died in Endgame, and obviously that there was a memorial site, although we didn't get a funeral in Endgame because she's kind of irrelevant, or Marvel made us feel like she was irrelevant, so to speak. But on the gravestone, they did something cute and pretty cool. It said the following: daughter, sister, Avenger. So essentially, what is this scene? So Yelena's there in silence. She's interrupted by Valentina, who we were introduced to in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So there actually is some crossover, so maybe these Disney Plus shows are actually going somewhere, and she's got a mission for Yelena because it appears that Alana is working for her. So Valentina gives Yelena her next target, which confirms she has already signed up to work for her, the deal maker. Yelena gets handed an iPad, and the photo of the person she has to kill next is Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner. Valentina adds the following: Yelena, you might want to get even with the person who killed our sister, Natasha. Although that's actually wrong because she sacrificed herself. He didn't actually kill her at all. So Valentina is referring to the events in Avengers Endgame, as we know. But like I said, this would have made, the post-credit scene wouldn't have made any sense if the movie came out earlier, but this post-credit scene is the only good thing. The storyline will most likely pick up with Yelena maybe appearing on the Hawkeye show that I think comes out later this year. So that is pretty much the post-credit scene. You didn't really need to watch this movie unless you're a big MCU fan. I would put this down as a lower tier movie. It almost felt like a phase 1 movie, but like I said, guys, it's decent in its own right, but it really wasn't needed. It's kind of like a Mission Impossible style movie, realistically, and I feel bad for Scarlett Johansson. This is going to be her last outing in a movie, and she was a side character in a movie that she was supposed to be the A-lister. She was supposed to be the main event, even though on IMDb she's listed first, followed shortly by Florence Pugh, that played Yelena. And yes, Thunderbolt Ross was in this movie, but kind of irrelevant. To be honest, a lot of this movie is irrelevant. You could miss it, and you wouldn't really miss any context, because the post-credit scene, I'm sure we're going to get a flashback to that whenever Yelena catches up with Hawkeye. There'll be a setup. We'll get to see the scene again. So overall, do you need to watch this movie? No, but as an MCU fan, should you watch this movie? Yes. And I'm pretty happy that I got to watch this movie early so I could post this review. I think a lot of people won't be happy with my thoughts and feelings, but as I said, guys, I do honest reviews. I don't do reviews to pander for whoever gives me the code and gives me access to movies early. I just do honest reviews. So that's pretty much the whole storyline in a nutshell. No, I haven't gone into massive detail about the plot points because there isn't really many plot points to go over, so to speak. Obviously, Melina in this movie, she's pretty badass. She's Alexi's partner, and she essentially is the reason the Red Room gets taken down. But then again, she was behind the Red Room with Dreykov all this time anyway. anyways. And there's a bunch of other Black Widows, but they kind of are relevant, and I doubt we're going to see them ever again. So that's pretty much the movie broken down. Full spoilers, even though there isn't really any spoilers for this movie. We do get to see young Natasha as well at the start of it, which is pretty cool to set up everything about how she became a spy and how she got into the Red Room and how Yelena got into the Red Room and all that kind of stuff. So there is a lot of setup in this movie, but a lot of this movie is kind of fluff. It isn't really needed. So like always, guys, let me know your honest opinions down below. And if you've already seen the Black Widow movie, it comes out in UK today. I think it comes out in America on Friday, or it comes out on Disney Plus on Friday. But go support the cinema, go support your local theater. That will be better for business and better for the theater world to get back to normal. So like always, guys, let me know your honest opinions down below. But like I said, guys, I'm being honest here. I'm not sponsored. This isn't a paid video. I just got access to it early, and that's honestly what I think about this movie. It's an okay movie. You could miss it. The post-credit scene's dope. Taskmaster was a big letdown. Obviously Taskmaster can mimic a lot of stuff, and that was utilized in this movie, but still the reveal of Taskmaster being Dreykov's daughter was a massive letdown. And what happened in Budapest was an even bigger letdown. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at Warstu. If you want to see the face behind the voice, check out on Twitter, WarstuG, because someone robbed the Warstu handle, and I'm still trying to dispute to get it back, but I'm not having any luck. And check us out on Twitch.tv/Warstu, and I will catch you in another video, guys, very soon. Catch you later.